What is it like being a mom in Italy?
I think there are certain things that obviously are very common to pregnant women that don't necessarily apply to mom in general.
Right. Okay,
So I think
that's true.
there are some fast tracks for women who are pregnant. And by the way, I was pregnant during COVID, so I think no one knew. No one has ever seen me pregnant. So I think to me it was a different experience. But every time I went for a blood drop, every time I went for a test, yes, it's very easy. You can even take there is a specific process to sign in for pregnancy, and you immediately go into the fast track lane. So for that, it's is really good. And anything I think that has to do with maternity exams, etc., are much easier to book even with the public system, that I would say, than on a general basis for any other exams. I've never felt like the system has worked so fast than when I was pregnant, and I was checked so many times. But I guess it is the same in US. It's just that you have a private system, right? So if you're lucky enough to have, and when I was in the US, I had a medical insurance for the company, and that worked super well. But I knew people that didn't have that, and so it was much harder in that case. So I've never been a mom outside of Italy, to be honest. I do not have comparisons, but I would say that the city where I live, so Milan, is a quite kids-friendly city. So you easily find places where you go out during weekends. There are many parks. There are activities for children. There are apps, associations, libraries, even private clubs where you can go and do multiple activities for kids. So I think that it's definitely a good setup in general. And overall, we have a good quality of life, because if you want to go outside of the city, then you can easily reach, obviously, the best beaches, the mountains, just in a couple, 2 or 3 hours.
Less
drive.
Sometimes.
Less sometimes even. Yes. So yeah. So overall, obviously I'm happy about the decision. And I think when I lived in New York and I had some friends who were mom, back in the days, I wasn't a mom myself, but I have to say New York seemed to be children, kids friendly city as well. But the space was so much harder, moving from one part of the city to the other one. It was in general much more difficult, which it happens on a regular basis. Obviously, it adds up energy if you are a working mom, or in general, if you have a child with you.
Yeah, I noticed that in public transportation here, again, moms are prioritized in that there's always a space for moms with strollers, and people do really respect that. If there's a mom with a stroller, or I guess a parent with a stroller, they really do move aside to give them that space. Or I've noticed a lot of times when there are single parents who have a stroller, oftentimes it happens when it's a woman, and so it's a mom with a child, and everybody immediately asks, can I help you to lift the stroller onto the bus or the tram?
It still happens to me. Every time I'm going into a store and a restaurant, even if I'm by myself, there is always asking. I get always the question would you like some help? So yes, I think it's in general. I as I said, I don't have comparisons.
Right.
I would assume that the same would happen in other cities as well. But in general, Milan has been good from that perspective, for sure.
That's good.